Yo, what is going on everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This video is everything you need to know about reverse dieting. Have you reverse dieted before? What should you do? What shouldn't you do? What's the science behind it? Sit back, relax, hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and enjoy the video. So, reverse dieting. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it's actually not. So, the science behind reverse dieting essentially is that you slowly increase food over time, but you're dieting through the process and often can get quite lean, yes, by increasing calories and increasing food week by week. So, how does that happen? Is it possible? Is it bullshit? So the truth is, if you want to look at it mathematically or scientifically, basically what's happening is, if you can imagine a normal graph, and you have, hypothetically, you increase calories the same each week, hypothetically, you have a linear curve, a linear line through the origin. So each week that passes, you're going up, 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 up in calories. But what happens is your metabolism is a reverse bell-shaped curve. Simply, what happens is, as the week progresses, your metabolism, this line, is below the diagonal line through the origin. It's negative, 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 until eventually it intersects that line. At that point, scientifically, down to literature, it has been shown that it's between 6, 7, and 8 weeks. At this point in time, your metabolism has sped up, so it is now in a positive state and is above that line. At this moment in time, as you exponentially increase your metabolism, the linear line of increase in food is still linear, and you become in a positive metabolic state. Does this happen? This sounds like witchcraft, but it really does happen. The science, the literature suggests that it does, and in practice, it most definitely does work. Obviously, it's not that easy. You need to be strategic with the calories that you add each week, the calories that you strategically implement, and where you put them. What macronutrients do you use? And even within macronutrients, what type of macronutrients do you use? So essentially that's what happens. And very often when you diet down, and you get someone to where metabolically they probably can't progress any further, generally speaking, because they then become in a heightened state of the body is almost in shock, in the sense that they are so low calorie, or they're in such a deficit that their body starts to go into starvation mode and holds on to body fat or stubborn areas of fat because their hormones are downregulated. Once you get past this 7-8 week period, your body starts to speed up, in the sense that your metabolism is increasing, these hormones start to upregulate again, but your body is utilizing these macronutrients. Now, before I go into a little bit of secrets and details into how you would do that, logically you say this doesn't make sense, because thermodynamically you're in a worse state than you were if you're increasing food. Well, not necessarily. For anyone out there who is seriously dieted and they have absolutely killed themselves, you put someone on an 800 calorie diet, and what are you going to be doing all day long? Asleep. Falling asleep, not moving, lethargic, tired. Your calorie expenditure, even if you do your hour on the treadmill, your NEAT, or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or the calories that you burn around the clock throughout the day, are going to massively decrease. Because yes, you're going to the gym, and then you're doing your cardio, but then you're probably asleep for the rest of the day. If you can increase someone's calories by 200 calories, and they burn an extra 300 because they actually can get up and go, that they wouldn't have done without the calories, all of a sudden you're actually in a 100 calorie deficit on more food. So there's lots of things that come into play before you even look at the hormonal profile of how things are progressing or not. So let's talk about the specifics of what I would do with a client without giving too much away. And of course, this is very individualized. And the most important thing you need to take from this aspect of dieting is accountability and guidance. Because during this period of time, more than any, will you need guidance? Will you need someone there to help you? Because it can be quite difficult for the first 6, 7, 8 weeks where you're increasing food, your metabolism is still in a negative place relative to the food that you're adding, and you'll probably look a little fluffier, you'll probably hold a little bit more water, and it holds that throughout that period of time until you get to that point where eventually you're in a positive metabolic state. So how would you increase calories? Slowly. And where? Generally around the workout perimeter. So macronutrient wise, the most important macronutrient for you to use when you're correcting a metabolism or starting a reverse diet is, any guesses? Carbohydrates. Excuse me, so carbohydrates are the most important macronutrient. And generally, because, well, for lots of reasons. One, they're probably the macronutrient that has been pulled out of the diet more so than any of the others, but also it is the macronutrient that is most responsible or has the biggest effect on your leptin and your ghrelin and a lot of other hormones that are important in hunger, satiety, and dieting in general. So you slowly increase carbohydrates post-workout, generally speaking, over time. You need to be very strategic with which carbohydrates you use and where around the training period they are. If you're looking to reverse diet, I urge you massively to go seek guidance. I urge you massively. It doesn't have to be me or one of my coaches. It can be anyone, or read up on it yourself. It's massively, massively important. But generally, carbs intra or post-workout will be the most beneficial. That being said, I urge you to use carbohydrates that you know your body responds well to. Generally, you want them to be clean carbohydrates. And what I mean by clean is not necessarily that it's not good or bad food, or processed or not, or organic or not. You generally want carbohydrates or foods that are high in carbohydrate, low in fat. Not because fat's bad, but because what you want from these carbohydrates is to create an insulin spike, refuel your glycogen stores, and help your body respond. Bear in mind, in the grand scheme of things, if you increase your carbohydrates post-workout, you increase your glycogen in your muscle. All of a sudden, by doing so, you've increased your muscle mass, even if it's just by 5 or 10%. It pulls water into the muscle also, which even further increases your muscle mass. The higher or the bigger or the greater muscle mass you have, the higher your basal metabolic rate is going to be. Take home points from this video. Do your research. If you really, really want to improve and have a decent metabolism long term, reverse dieting is essential. It is probably my strength as a coach to be able to pull someone out of a really bad metabolic period or really bad metabolic state and give them a metabolism that they don't need to diet from. I use the phrase all the time, teach a man how to fish or give a man a fish. And I believe coaching wise, you should be teaching people how to fish by showing them these tips and tricks along the way, but getting their metabolism in the best possible shape. If you have any more questions, leave them below, or drop me an email at chrisspearmanfitness@gmail.com. Or if you're curious about any of my plans, the quickest way to get in touch with me personally is to send me a DM on Instagram. I'm @SpearmanChris. I hope you've taken some advice from this video and you're not too scared about reverse dieting, but it will change your life. Thank you guys for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you haven't subscribed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.